Okay, so we're going to start sitting up. We're just going to start with some Nadi Shodhanam. So yeah, this class might potentially go over a bit for the hour. So hopefully that'll be okay. Well, I'll try and finish by past. Okay, so yeah, just make sure everybody's silent. Okay, that's it. Great. Okay, so yeah, just find a seated position. Doesn't need to be supported or anything. And you want to bring your spine into the vertical axis. You can close your eyes, rest your arms. And just take a few moments to be still. Tune in with whatever's happening, a sense of the temperature, the room, even the quality of the air in the room, sense of the space around you. Any sounds. Then we're going to come in closer with our awareness to our own body, feeling the contact with the ground, feeling the legs, feet. And bringing yourself into alignment as best you can. It's more like an internal feeling or internal sensation of alignment. So you may notice different areas in your spine as you take your attention up both sides of your spine. Some areas feel tighter, more blocked, even uncomfortable. Others feel looser, quieter. Exploring the spinal column and either side of the spinal column. Contacting the shoulders, and the belly and the chest, sides of the body. And then bringing our awareness into the head, remembering that the neck is a continuation of the rest of the spine. Noticing if you've got tension around the neck, base of the skull, whether it feels free. A sense of your arms resting. If it helps, bring your left hand to the belly below the navel. We're going to contact the breath, particularly like to move towards diaphragmatic breath, just breathing more fully through the diaphragm, using the diaphragm and breathing down the lower section of the body. So we're tuning in with the breath, beginning to cultivate diaphragmatic breath, checking in with our mood, with our state of mind, heart, mind, chitta. Noticing if you're at ease, relaxed, or preoccupied, anxious. Noticing if you're content or agitated. And then with your right hand, I'd like you to make the mudra, so sometimes called the Vishnu mudra. So we bring the middle finger and the index finger down to the base of the thumb. You make very light a claw, sometimes called a trident shape with the right hand. You could certainly explore doing all this with the left hand, just to say that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to breathe alternately out in through one side, out in through the other, a round of 3. So when you breathe in through both nostrils, I want you to close the right nostril and exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Close the left and exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Close the right, exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Close the left, exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Close the right, exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Close the left, exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Exhale through both nostrils. Release the arm. That was one round. The Bodhiyoga-70 is said to, or the idea of the practice, to bring a sense of harmony, balance in the body. Just being careful when not forcing the breath, exaggerating the breath in any way, not holding the breath out or in, continuous. So do a second round. So breathing in, exhaling through the left, closing the right. Inhale through the right. Sorry, left. Close the left. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Close the right. Exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Close the left. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Close the right. Exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Close the left. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. And release the breath through both nostrils. Round 2. Tuning in with your psychophysical being. As we proceed, we'll do one more round. So just let you go on your own breath as much as I can. So breathing in, and then when you're ready, start on the left, closing the right. Outhale, inhale. Switch, exhale, inhale. Switch, exhale, inhale. Switch, exhale, inhale. Switch, Exhale, inhale. Switch. Exhale, inhale, and release. Reclarifying your spine, softening shoulders, the face. We just did 3 rounds there of alternating. Nadi Shodanam. So we're going to move down now into our backs. So part of the sequence we did at the weekend, actually. So it'll be certainly familiar to Johanna and Sandra. So I'd like to start in semi-supine and bring your feet fairly close to the buttocks, hip width apart, palms down, and arms along the side of the body. Okay, and taking awareness into the breath. So we're going to build up this practice from the floor. So as we exhale, I want you to pick up the gaze and look through the legs, pick up the arms. Inhale, you release down. This is the 6-part bridge. Exhale, ground your feet and lift the pelvis. Inhale, the arms go above the head. Exhale, lower the pelvis down, lengthening the waist as you do. Inhale, the arms back to your side. It's like a movement of 6 parts. Exhale, you pick up again, look through the leg. Inhale, release down. Exhale, pushing into bridge. The arms stay where they are, softening the neck. Inhale, the arms above the head, attentive to your neck. Exhale, release or lengthen down. There's a sense of lengthening the waist as you drop. Inhale, the arms back to your side. And we'll go through 3 more rounds on your own breath. I'll just let you work at your own rhythm now. One thing I like to pay attention to is the positioning of the feet. So it definitely helps to ground the feet, take the feet a bit wider than the pelvis. And also aware that the arms move independently of the pelvis with this bridge sequence. So it's like it's syncopated, so the arms follow the pelvis. As we're lifting, there's a sense of lengthening through the waist area. And the movement is continuous with the breath. I'll do one more, okay, on your own breath. And releasing back into semi-supine. From semi-supine, I'd like to interlace your hands around the back of your head and take the elbows wide. You could just take the elbows into a T shape, then bring your knees towards your chest. And then we're going to take both legs to the right. Keep the shoulders down, the elbows down, the gaze going up towards the sky. So your knees close into, as well, not right into your body, but moving towards your body. As we inhale, we extend the left leg parallel to the floor. As we exhale, we bend. So it's quite intense on the left buttock, left hip rotated. As you inhale, you extend your left leg. And as you exhale, you bend, and we can repeat this a few times. I use this movement a lot, it has to be said, but it really feels beneficial in terms of working the thigh and the hip rotators, which I want to warm up in relation to the work we're going to come into with back bending. Okay, next time we inhale, extend the leg, hold the leg parallel to the floor, so the knees are slightly separated, and then see if you can turn the toes towards the ceiling. So you're turning your left toes towards the ceiling, deliberately externally rotating the left thigh outwards. So it's, it creates a sense of toning, strength work around the left thigh, left buttock. Elbows stay down, shoulders stay down, so it's broad across the upper body, still connecting with the breath. And then exhale, fold the leg, inhale, swing to center, take a pause at semi-supine for a moment. I'm going to swing round just because I've got the wall too close. Okay, so bringing your knees once again towards your chest, taking the pelvis to the left now. And noticing any difference between your left and right side. Okay, so we're going to have a side which is easier to turn to. This definitely feels tighter for me going this way. Okay, so inhale, extend the right leg. Exhale, release. So again, repeating this movement, you can even close the eyes if it's really familiar now, and work with your proprioceptive awareness, of that internal awareness of your body in space. The one thing that was quite interesting, I have to say, on Sunday, students led a class. So it's just quite interesting being led online in live as you are now. And I realized it definitely helped to be able to just turn away from the screen and follow the instructions. But just to be clear, so the leg is, which maybe you can't see, it's parallel to the floor. The inner legs don't touch, but the thigh bones are parallel, the thighs are parallel. Next time we inhale, we extend the leg, hold it there, and then turn, externally rotate the right leg. So the toes point towards the ceiling. It really feels intense on the right buttock, the right outer thigh. It's like you're engaging the muscles around the thighs. It's creating a sense of toning, engaging. But trying to keep a sense of breadth across the upper body. You can even the opposite direction to the legs. Keep it into a twist. And then from there, exhale. Bend the leg, inhale to center. Soles of the feet onto the floor, back into semi-supine. And then just one last thing here in supine. So I want you to bring your right ankle just above your left knee. This is really familiar. Take your right hand through the legs, take hold of your left shin or the left thigh. And so you could work more passively here, but this is the hip stretch that we're really familiar with. So again, I wanted to soften and start to work the outer hips before going into the hip flexors, which is going to be helpful for the back bending. So breathing here, so you can work more actively with the right leg. So your right leg foot can be active. And you can even gently push against the resistance. So I'm pushing my right shin away from me. That would be a more active version. My arms stay long, the shoulder blades stay on the floor, head stays on the floor. And release. We're going to switch sides. So my left ankle just above my right. And again, you thread through to where you can. You could potentially use a strap here. If you were working with beginners, it was a long way. You'd take a strap round the back of the right thigh and take hold of the strap. So choosing to how you're going to work. Are you going to work more passively or more actively in the pose? So actively means engaging the left leg, so a sense of pressing and broadening into the left foot. So that we talked about this the other day. Pada bandha, which is like broadening and lengthening across the foot base, certainly in the left foot. Gently pressing the left shin away from you. So you can become quite an active pose. Connecting with the breath and releasing down. Coming into semi-supine. Just for a moment, we're going to roll to one side. And yeah, come into child's pose. So come towards the back edge of your mat. Doesn't really matter. Okay, bring the hands onto the sacrum. So we're going to go straight into this. This is like a warm-up, gently warming and strengthening the thighs, Vajrasana. If you can, take your arms all the way up to the vertical, otherwise into cactus. So as we inhale, it's like we unfold. You've got the space and the mobility in your shoulders, take the arms all the way up and look up. Bring the pelvis forwards, and then exhale, you fold back into the floor. Hands come to the back of the sacrum again and repeat, inhaling. Obviously, if you need some padding for the knees, that's fine. See if you can sink in with your breath. One of the good things about this movement, relatively simple, is it's coordinating the breath-body movements. And as I said, if you can, reaching up, bringing the palms together, even crossing the thumbs and pulling up. So later on in the sequence, we're going to have a go at Ustrasana. This is a starting position for Ustrasana. You can coordinate the movement of the body, upper body, arms, legs with the breath. One more time. And exhale, reaching or releasing down into full child's pose. Release your arm. Okay, and then from here, we're going to sit up onto the feet. You would have done this for me before in other situations. I want you to bring your hands onto the pelvis. Again, we're going to work into the thighs. Now, I think it helps to tuck the toes. No, it's up to you. If you want to tuck the toes under, that's fine. If you prefer working that way. Otherwise, have the tops of the feet down, okay? So the movement is to close the front of the pelvis. So I'm going to, where my fingertips are coming around the front of the pelvis, I tip the pelvis forwards, a sense of closing the angle at the front of the pelvis. And then we float up on the inhale. You don't come all the way up. So you want to engage the thighs. You float up and then you float down, and we don't touch the buttocks to the heels. You come just before, just as you sort of touch the heels, you come back up. Inhale, come up. It's really intense on the thighs. Exhale, you release down. We're pressing through the shin, through the tops of the feet. Pelvis stays tipping forwards. Elbows go wide, but you know, the main thing here is the thighs. in terms of the spine lengthening, but we are tipping forwards. You're probably 3 or 4 of those and you want to take a rest. So let's just take a rest to let yourself drop back. So starting to work the thighs, which feeds into the hip flexors. It's going to be useful as we move into this sequence. Let's do that one more time. Okay, so it's floating up on the inhale, tipping the pelvis forwards first and then floating up, keeping the sense of that angle at the front of the pelvis closed, relatively closed. Exhale down, inhale up. So you're pressing the shins to the floor. This is going to be really helpful, just moving down to the ground and back up again, just in everyday life. For creating strength in legs. Okay, and releasing down again. Take a pause there. Not much of a pause. Okay, so I want you to come to all fours and then step one of your feet forward. So I'm going to step my left foot forward because I want to work the right hip first. Okay, and I'm going to float up, hands to the hips. Just pretty simple. So it's just a lunge. Okay, so I wanted to avoid doing a really intense flow practice this week, like we did last time, a couple of weeks ago with my sequence. You can tuck the toes under, and you can put some padding under the knee. So I am going to do that. I'm just going to grab one of these bricks that's underneath the computer. So I'm going to protect my knee a little bit. Okay, so I'm in a low lunge. I let my right arm come down by the side, and I extend up on the inhale, looking up. Exhale, release down, playing with the distance between the feet. Also playing with the sense of the breadth of the pose. You keep the front of the pelvis, the sense of it open. So it may help to think about the tram lines. So you bring the pose broader as well as longer. Inhale, we come up. Exhale, you come down. And you're working into the hip flexor now. The left hand can be on the hip or on the left thigh. Working sensitively, gently. I'm turning my right palm into the center line as I come up. Next time I exhale, release forwards and all fours. Using some support under the knee, shifting that across, stepping the other foot forward. Coming up, left hand now down by my side. We can't see that. Same thing, inhale, coming up. Exploring this movement. So a sense of length from the back leg all the way up to the fingertips through the sides of the body. Sensitive to what's going on in the lower back. Okay, this is an extension. You can even take your left arm, if you want to sort of exaggerate this extension through the upper body, take the left arm back a little bit. Sense of reaching back as we get into this. Reaching back a little bit towards the end of the in-breath. Exhale, releasing forwards, all fours, and remove any support there. And we're going to come into all fours. So, okay. So we will take a rest in a moment. So coming into very simple cat-cow. Okay, so hands underneath the shoulders. You can tuck your toes or not. Exhale, you're pulling the belly area in, looking back. Inhale, you're rolling the pelvis forward, sense of lengthening through the whole of the front of the body. Again, attentive to any compressive sensations in the lower back, so you do not exaggerate that necessarily. And tuning in with the breath. So this is like a spinal mobilizing. So I've just been, this last few days, I've been reading up, like watching up, I think it's the way you do it these days, around why all fours is so popular in exercise systems. So it's something about strengthening the arms and the legs and having the spine in a neutral position relative to gravity, which is really beneficial. So there's a whole world I've just discovered called, I think it's called an animal exercises. So there's a lot of movements based on, cat, dog, tiger, like we do in yoga, but they can develop. So you move around on all fours. There's even this subset of people that do running on all fours. Okay, so inhale. It does feel really beneficial, this as a mobilizing, okay? Exhale into a gentle flexion. And we're going to release back now completely. Take a rest. Take a pause there, releasing. So we're not particularly doing strength work, though there is some strengthening being on all fours just inherently because you're weight bearing onto your hands. It could be strengthening for the wrists. Okay, and from there again into all fours. I wanted to do more of a stretch for the front of the pelvis. So left leg goes back. You bend the left leg and then bring your weight into your left hand and see if you can reach back for the left leg with the right hand and then push the shin away. So if you can't connect, that's fine. You can just reach into space. That'll be more strength work. If you can't connect, and then you push the left shin away, keeping the pelvis more or less level, chest more or less level, though there is an element of rotation to the right in this case. Going to release down, back to all fours. We'll take the right leg back. I mean, it's fine to do it the other way around. Bend the right leg. I'm going to reach back for your right foot with your left hand. So again, one of the benefits of being on fours and working crossways is very good for strengthening, creating stability in the body. This cross position. So we've got with the right hand down, the left hand down. There's a challenge on your balance, which helps to create strength, stability around the spine. So I'd suggest looking down, but checking in on your neck. Your neck is soft, long. Try not to get too gaze orientated. Taking your weight into the rest of the body, your attention into the rest of the body. And release. Again, let's come into resting, child's pose. I'm just going to put the fan on. Breathing there and resting down. Okay. So from there, we're going to come into all fours again and explore 8-point pose, coming into. So now we're going to get into the back bending sequence, okay, for real, as it were. So we're going to go through 8-point pose into Bhujangasana, which we've probably done lots of times, but I'd like you to just be really conscious about doing that. So tucking the toes under, I like to come into 8-point pose, slightly bringing my weight back, tucking the elbows in. There's a sense of dropping towards the floor, chest and chin, not touching the floor necessarily, keeping the hips up. Actually, I am resting my chin there, but not the chest. And then I release down all the way to the floor, push the tops of the feet into the floor and lift just to the floating ribs. So if you really want to check that you're working the upper body, you lift the hands off the floor, keeping the elbows back and down. So it really engages the upper back, and then release. Okay, so we'll come back into child's pose. Take a pause in child's pose. We're going to do this like 3 or 4 times even, but quite consciously. Okay, keeping the elbows in, coming into all fours again, tucking the toes. You can explore the distance between your knees. Maybe try it with your knees a bit wider or a bit narrower. See how that feels. So you're tipping the pelvis forwards. I'm taking my weight back a little bit. And then I'm lowering myself towards the floor, poising there for a moment if I can. I breathe a little bit in 8-point pose. Not that popular, this pose. Not that easy to do. And then from there, release into Bodhiyoga-70. So tops of the feet on the floor, lifting the head away from the floor, elbows in. If you want to increase the intensity in that pose, you could lift the hands off the floor. Just a few millimeters. And release. And back into child's pose. Take a pause in child's pose. Letting go there. Feeling the body. And one more time. So we'll do 2 more times on your own breath. So moving through 8-point pose into Bodhiyoga-70 and back to child's pose in your own breath. Okay, so I'm not going to talk it through. I'll just let you move through. See if you can hold 8-point pose for a few, well, like 2 breaths or 3 breaths. Remembering to spread the hands. It should get easier each time we meet the pose. Coming into Bodhiyoga-70, low Bodhiyoga-70. So the low Bodhiyoga-70 is very good for strengthening the lower back, the spine in general, emphasizing more the upper back, and it avoids this really highly compressive movement. So I'm really pleased that, it's curious, but a lot of teachers I'm seeing down in Valencia are just teaching the full upward dog, which can be really too powerful for a lot of people. So you're going into a really intense back bend, and they're picking up on this pose. A couple of teachers I've seen doing that. So this is emphasizing strengthening the back. Okay, release down. Do that one more time. 8-point pose into Bodhiyoga-70, and we'll just look at coming into the upward dog. Okay, so in your own time, 8-point pose, Bodhiyoga-70. Coming into Bodhiyoga-70. So what I'd like to do, once you're in Bodhiyoga-70, is tug the toes under, and then we're going to lift the whole body off the floor and take the gaze up. So we're going to move into upward dog, and you'll just see it's a really powerful movement for the body, but it can have really strong compressive forces going into the lower back. Yeah, so your knees are lifting away from the floor, and then we release down. So if you can imagine doing that over and over again in an Ashtanga sequence, potentially could be harming. Okay, so just try that one more time, tucking the toes under. So I bring the hands a little bit further back even, and I'm engaging the legs, the arms, and lifting the whole body off the floor for upward dog, Urdhva Dhanurasana. Picking the gaze up. If that doesn't feel good on your lower back, then don't do it. Work on Bhujangasana and release. Okay, take a pause into child's pose. Child's pose where we thread the arms through the legs. So you can feel the inner legs gently pressing in on the outer arms, releasing the whole body. Bringing awareness into the spine, into the lower back. Softening around the shoulders. So I was just playing with this, one of some aspects of the sequence earlier today, and I just noticed, yeah, for the full bridge, which I'd like us to come to, the issue is going to be partly shoulder mobility. Yeah, so we've done a little bit of work on that. So we'll come once again into all fours and then down onto the belly. But we can, there's a way of doing Shalabhasana where we engage the shoulders. So interlace the fingers round the back of the body and rest the thumbs onto the buttocks. This is like a classic Shalabhasana. So we're going to lift, we'll do it a couple of different ways. So we'll lift the head and the legs together, or the upper body and the legs together, but keep the thumbs down on the buttocks. So the first time, keep the arms down, but lengthen the arms away from you, behind you. Lifting the chest, lifting the legs, engaging the legs. So you can feel up and down your spine working and release. Second time, I'd like you to lift also the arms away from your body, not very much, but like gently lifting the thumbs away from the buttocks. So on your own time, inhaling. And keep breathing. So the arms move away from you. The gaze forwards and down, checking that we're keeping the neck long and soft. Again, this is a strengthening, toning, back bend. Similar to Bhujangasana, the way we were doing it. Breathing there. And release. So release your arms. Completely surrender to the floor. If it helps, turn the head to one side. Reconnecting with the breath. Turning your head to the other side. And then centering your head. So we're going to bend up one leg at a time now for the bow. Okay, so there's something about what the idea is to open the front of the pelvis a little bit. So it may help to wriggle. There's a sense of lifting one knee and moving the knee away from you, away from the head. Doing the same with the other side. So a sense of opening the front of the pelvis. And then we reach back for both feet or ankles or shins. And the knees don't go too wide, but you push your shins away. So the work is done by the legs. You push the shins away, maybe lift the knees, coming into Dhanurasana. So the belly's on the floor. Probably feel the front of the pelvis pressing into the floor. You're lifting the knees, pushing the shins away. The gaze can go forwards. Breathing there. And just try for a few breaths and then release. We'll do that again twice. It's usually easier the second time or third time. Just letting your body become familiar with that movement. reconnecting with the breath. When you're ready, starting off, taking hold of the feet. I think this is really difficult to teach where, you know, if your students can't reach the feet and then you put a strap, it doesn't really work. So I would just do something else. Yeah. So when you're ready, chins away, knees lifting, breathing. See if you can soften around the shoulders, let the legs carry the arms back and up, releasing the neck, softening the face. Again, it's kind of basic pose, but it's a powerful pose. Extension of the spine, release down when you're ready. And we'll move back into child's pose where we, if it's helpful, threading the arms through the legs. And then from there, sitting up. And yeah. And now we're gonna come, I'd come into the center of your mat. So let's see. Yeah, you tuck the toes under and sit back onto the feet. So I've got my toes tucked under. If that doesn't work, tucking the toes under, you could sit on a bolster. Maybe that would help a little bit. But I think, we need to really, lift the heels if you can, tuck the toes under. You can still have the bolster then. We're going to swing up. We're going to have a go at Ustrasana, camel pose. So the idea is to try to open the front of the pelvis so the buttocks move forwards, gently push forwards. Be careful with what you do with your head, And another thing maybe is to think about the knees. I'm just going to put a little bit more padding under the knees. So I'm going to roll the end of this mat. Okay. So the knees are down, supported there a little bit, padded a bit. We're going to take both arms up and reach up. Sense of moving the pelvis forwards. And I want you to just take one hand back to one of your heels. Okay, so for example, right hand goes to the right heel. You can look back and just touch the right heel. The pelvis moving forwards. You can keep the gaze down, really careful with your neck. It doesn't work looking down, just gently look forwards. I'm just touching with the fingertips and resting slightly onto the right heel. Inhale, both arms come up once again and go to the other side. So there is an element of twisting a little bit here. I'm gently moving the pelvis forwards, adjusts your gaze so it really works for your neck. Okay. Lifting through from the shins, much more from the knees, up into the top arm, and then both arms up. And then see if we can take both arms back. So you could, take them out wide and back. Keep the gaze going forwards. You might take hold of one heel at a time. And then gently pushing up from the hands, lifting the chest. I keep the gaze, the head lifted. You can move the pelvis forwards. My toes are still tucked under. So I've got a bit of extra height there. Breathing. I'm lifting. I'm even externally rotating the arms and turning the arms out. Gently moving the pelvis forward, lifting the chest. And then with an impulse, I swing back up to vertical, gaze forward, and sit back for a moment and just rest back. You will feel like you're working the whole upper body in that pose, okay? As much as the front of the body as the back of the body. Breathing there, and close the eyes. Rest for a moment in the vertical. So if you feel like you're getting like dizzy, or it's just too much, then just rest out of the next version. So we're going to have the tops of the feet on the floor. So it's a little bit more intense because you've got further to reach back, okay? So again, we'll do it alternately and then both arms. So swinging up. Now, in theory, you're trying to bring your shins down. So it might be you don't feel the whole of the shin, but the top of the foot, the shins rooting. Take both arms up. And then we're going to turn and reach to once again, one heel. Good look. You've got further to go. It's going to be more demanding. If it's helpful, look forwards. Gently pushing up, right hand up to left hand. Breathing there. Swing this arm up. And to the other side. Breathing there. Gaze. I'm looking slightly up and forwards. I'm no strain in the neck at all. Both arms up. And then we're going to take both arms back. So it's probably easier to take them out to the sides and then back. Okay. And then see if you can, resisting with the thighs, take hold of both feet and both heels. You can even bring more of the palm of the hand towards the sole of the foot. And we lift the pelvis forwards, the gaze still forwards. Lift the chest. It's definitely stronger work for the thighs. Yeah? But I'm engaging the pelvis forwards, moving it forwards. Breathing there. And then again with an impulse, gently coming up, the gaze stays forwards and I release down, sit down and just rest again in the vertical. Feeling the body. So it's like a powerful pose, Ustrasana, camel pose, as it's called. Okay. Yeah, let's move to the floor now. So you can, I was just thinking then, you can practice this just before we move to the floor. I don't think we're going to do it. It might not work for everybody. You can practice using a wall. I've got a wall here. So what I would do is, I'm sure you've done this before, but you move right into a wall and it just gives you something to work as a reference point. So I'm keeping my pelvis moving towards the wall and coming into the pose. That might be just a way of practicing. So I'm keeping my pelvis towards the wall, even some of the lower belly, just so you're aware of that, if you want to try that at home. So let's come down onto the back of the body. And last in this sequence of back bends, we're going to have a go at Urdhva Dhanurasana. So we've done quite a lot of preparation. I think we could have done more work on the shoulders, but we'll just go with it. So you're going to come down, take a rest, first of all, on the floor, and we'll just see how we get on with it. This is not going to work out for everyone, for sure. So you can work it in stages. So there is a vinyasa-krama that goes quite well with this. So the first of all is semi-supine. I then take my arms up to the vertical. I've got a sense of like lifting and broadening across the backs of the shoulders. So my arms stay in the vertical. Lift one shoulder, lift the other, broadening across the sort of horizontal axis from shoulder to shoulder, to say. And then I'm going to tuck the fingertips down underneath the shoulder blades. So the elbows tend to wing out here. So you're trying to bring them in to the short line of the shoulders. And then you don't have to come all the way up, but what you can do here, so I can take my feet wider, is just lift the pelvis. So you come into the bridge, but with the hands above the head. And then you release down again. So we'll just do that a couple of times. So you can play with the position of the feet, maybe go wider, keeping the sense of the waist long. Lift the pelvis, just the pelvis. Neck long, elbows tucking in. And release down again. One more time. Just the pelvis lifting, elbows tucking in. So you're trying to bring the hands down to the floor, fingertips underneath the shoulders. And release. Take a pause there. Completely relax. Bring one hand onto each knee, and we'll just take a few rounds of Apanasana. So you exhale, fold, or draw the knees, let the knees float towards you. Inhale, float them away. Releasing the neck. Apanasana. So once again, planting the feet down, extending your arms to the vertical, broadening across the backs, the shoulders, tucking the fingertips under. So the second stage would be to lift onto the crown of the head and stay there for a moment and then come back down. So if you're not sure what that is, you could just watch me for a moment. So you lift the pelvis and then you push up and rest onto the top of the head. So if you've got neck issues, I wouldn't do this. Like Rebecca, this is not going to be good for you. Okay, then release down. Okay. I'll just show that one more time if you want to have a go. First of all, the pelvis, then the top of the head. I can reposition my hands a bit wider. And then release down. So I'm not very long on the top of the head, okay? And then the third stage would be to come onto the top of the head and then push up. So you just straighten the arms. So let's just have a go. Probably nobody's watching, so doesn't matter if you don't get anywhere, but I don't force, okay? Just see if you can float up. That's the image, floating up. Okay, so broadening across the tops of the shoulders, back of the shoulders, tucking the fingertips. Lifting the pelvis first. I like to go with quite wide feet. From there, tops of the head, and then from there, widen the hands and push up. Breathing. Probably not going to stay there for very long. The first time, you can just come back down and rest. It's like, yeah, you probably don't do that very often. So just resting. If you're more stable, feel more comfortable in there, stay a bit longer. So it's obviously a more powerful back bend. It requires quite a bit of strength in the arms and legs, but it's a mixture of strength and sort of spaciousness in the body. So give it a couple more goes on your own breath, okay? I'll let you go. Just practice that for a couple of minutes, okay? If you've got another way of getting into it, that's fine. So another way in actually is to, rather than extend the arms up, you extend the arms along the floor, creating more sense of length through the body, then tuck the fingers. Another way to do it. Pelvis, head. I'll just let you go your own rhythm there. Definitely easier the second time. Again, take a pause in between. It's fine just to rest if you don't want to do this. Take a few moments to rest on your back. What you could do, just bridge if you want to be moving. So obviously, yeah, an obvious alternative here is just working with dynamic bridge. So you take the arms above the head, lift the pelvis. That's a much more contained range of movement than the full bridge. So one more go, okay, in your own time. Full bridge. See how you get on with that, if it's easier the third time. Releasing. When you're ready, back into semi-supine. Letting the body calm down. So it's a very stimulating pose. Even trying to do it can be very stimulating. So we're going to move into a little bit of a wind down sequence. We'll start off with Apanasana again. So floating the knees towards you on the exhale, floating them away on the inhale. Taking Apanasana 7 or 8 times. When you're ready, dropping the feet to the floor and taking the feet as wide as your mat or wider. And we're going to do the scissor legs. So I quite like to rest the hands on the back of the head. So as I exhale, I take the legs to one side, so feet really wide. Okay, inhale to center. Exhale to the opposite side, so it's like scissoring the legs. So you're internally rotating one leg, externally rotating the other. Helps to release any tension from the hip joint around the hips. The feet are nice and wide. So that means when you take them one way, you get an internal rotation on one leg, external on the other. And then coming back to central, I like to have a strap. Okay, so if you don't have a strap, that's fine. We can adapt. But we're going to take one leg up to the vertical, just one leg only. So I'm just going to come more centered onto my mat. And so you choose. I'm going to go with our left one. Okay. So one leg is moving, first of all, up towards the vertical. You don't have to go straight into a straight leg. Okay. So as we've said before, so the hamstrings get really tight really quickly, okay? So, and this can feel like quite a relief after doing back bends, because when we're doing back bends, we're contracting the back of the body. So now we're going to lengthen it out here. So you can extend your left or right leg, whatever leg, to the vertical, and move now towards a straightening leg. And the opposite leg can go along the floor. Okay, so you've got one leg horizontal, one leg in the vertical. If you're not using a strap, you just hold the hands around the back of the thigh. Somehow a bit more intense actually without the strap. Strap gives you a little bit more space in the upper body. you're not grasping so much. So you can soften the shoulders. It's harder to do when you're holding the back of the leg. And then we're going to do this, hip stretch movement, but from this position. So I've got my left leg up, so I take the belt in my right hand. If you've got your right leg up, take the belt in your left hand. And then try and keep the back of the pelvis on the floor, and you just take the leg slowly across the front of your body. It's not going to go very far. It might just go like a foot length across your body. And you should feel a nice, well, nice is probably not the word, but you'll feel a satisfying stretch in the outer thigh hip rotator. So if you've got your left leg up, you can also rest the left hand onto the top of the left leg, vice versa if you're doing the right leg first. So I've got my leg moving towards straight as possible. There's a sense of moving the head of the femur away from the head. So moving the hip bone away from the head, the thigh bone away from the head. Okay, back to center, release. Pulls the feet onto the floor, opposite leg. And not necessarily go straight into a straight leg. We haven't done a lot of leg stretching today, so it's perhaps the first one really. So slowly moving towards a vertical leg. Extending your opposite leg along the floor. Checking in on your neck. So I've got my right leg up to the vertical. So I'm going to take the belt into the opposite hand, left hand in my case. Now my right hand can be on the top of the right leg. Okay, gently even pushing it away as I move the leg across the body. So you will notice quite a difference between the two sides of your body. This gives quite an intense stretch to the outer thigh, back of the leg, hip rotators. Pulling the belt towards the head. Leg is towards straight. As much as it will want to go without forcing. Try and keep the back of the pelvis on the floor. So think about your sacrum, that's staying like glued to the floor. So it wants to rock up. If you can keep both sides of the sacrum down. Okay, then release. Back to center, release the belt to one side. Back into semi-supine. And just to finish, we're going to come back into the 6-part bridge, sort of way of winding down. So as you exhale, you pick up, look between the legs, pick up the arms, the gaze goes through the legs. Inhale, release. Exhale, lifting just the pelvis. Inhale, the arms above the head. Exhale, just the pelvis floating down. Inhale the arms to your side, and we'll move around that 6-part sequence as appropriately. It doesn't feel good on your neck, then you can always bring a hand behind the back of the head when you come up to that curl up. Making this the last one, so you could bring one hand behind the back of the head, create a bit of support there. Coming back into stillness, coming back into semi-supine. We're going to bring both legs towards us and come into a simple twist. So I'll let you decide what you're going to do there. I'm going to take my right forearm around the back of the legs, but that isn't necessarily a simple twist for everybody. We come into a simple twist to the right, to the left, taking a minute or so on each side, the sense of both shoulders sinking, neck soft. Preparing now to come into the last couple of poses. Softening around the face, shoulders. When you're ready, switching sides. Softening both shoulders. And then we'll come back to center. So having said we're not going to use a wall, I did want to use a wall actually. So I didn't even move to a wall. I'd like us to do legs up the wall with a bolster to finish, okay? Well, not quite finished, but semi-finished. So if you can, move into a wall somewhere. So just remember, when you're swinging up to the wall with the bolster, you place the bolster quite a distance from the wall, so you can, there's a sense of being able to rest your pelvis into the space. So I've got like it's like a palm distance, and then you come up to the wall, and I've got one buttock hanging in between the wall and the bolster, and the other buttock on the support. What that means is when I do swing round, I'm close to the wall, okay? So then you can position yourself using the elbows and your feet on the wall. So the idea is you're supporting the pelvic crest, like the pelvic rim, and the buttocks come right into the wall. So you can lean your legs into the wall. And then we rest the arms either above the head, to our sides, onto the body. That is to release the legs. Doesn't always work. Okay, so if you can, you release the legs as much as possible, rest it, leaning them into the wall. I'm going to take a few minutes here, be surrendering to gravity. This is very much a yin pose now. Scanning through the body, so feeling how that sequence felt on you, quite demanding poses, especially Ustrasana, Urdhva Dhanurasana. We even touched into Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, upward dog. We've done all the kind of classic back bends there. Shalavasana, Bhujangasana. So now resting the body as fully as you can. Resting the arms, resting the legs as much as is possible. Sense of also resting the eyes and the face. And coming back into awareness of the mind, heart, mind. So again, tuning in with the quality of your mind, or the qualities. And asking yourself, where can I let go? Where can I let go? When you're ready from there, we're going to bring the soles of the feet towards the wall. You can drop your legs down. There's two ways to come out. You can roll out from here, or I quite like to lift the pelvis and take the roll out first, bolster out first, and then come down. Okay, or you could move away from the wall, whatever way is going to work for you. And I'm going to come into Shavasana. So make sure whatever, especially if you're in school, make sure you're going to be warm enough. Okay. No idea of knowing the time here. Oh, wow. Okay. So we'll do like a 6-minute Shavasana. Okay. That will take us up to past. So I'm going to turn the lights down. I'll let you know. Make sure you've got enough stuff to be warm. And use as much support as you like for the head, the knees. Checking that you're in at least internally, you feel like you're in a straight line. And looking for a sense of pleasure or calm or joy in the body, as well as recognizing or your heart, as well as recognizing any discomfort or agitation or flexing, preoccupying. Surrendering your legs, your arms, pelvis. Maybe we're more acutely aware of that pelvic lumbar connection now through the back bends. Where the shoulders, upper back, chest, and neck. I want you to expand your awareness out to space around you again. So aware of the temperature of the room, sound, movement, physical space, maybe sense of the walls, space beyond the walls. When you're ready, you can start to bring some movement into the fingers and toes. Moving to your right side. Coming back up in your own timer. So do feel free to stay on there.